Patrick Booth trying to take it to Jason Burgess then here. He wins 1.5 seconds pretty much, not being qualified this morning. But perfect race going with the pole match, Jason Burgess. They turn their way out of Fort Bay with the hands of the Barn corner. And the 2 Class A cars getting away from the 4 Class B cars, headed by James Dennison, then Josh Bromley, then Tyler Ballard, then Joe Delgado, all in the order that they qualified in, the 4 Class B cars. One car sounds to have a very noisy exhaust, but it's Jason Burgess leading by 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, and those 2 pulling away, as you say, but the Class B battle is really intense at the moment, with Dennison drifting wide as he heads onto Park Straight, but still in that lead group of 3 now, really. So those 3 have broken away, the 3 Class B cars. Yeah, there is one noisy exhaust. I think it's the green and gold car.
That's 58's about to be given a mechanical warning flag, so I presume it's that one.
Yeah, so
Aston Wigley.
Yeah, is that the green and gold car? Yes, I think it is. So there's a battle for the lead, which is coming down the gooseneck. That's between Jason Burgess and Patrick Booth, and then there's a short gap back and a lot of wiggle under braking from Dennison as he heads down towards the mountain again through Mansfield. So they're not breaking away a great deal, the 190s, you know, Josh, so we're not going to have much in the way of lappery in this race, I don't think, but it's still Dennison hanging on in Class B.
Yeah, the Class B cars in qualifying were only about a second slower as well. So Burgess and Booth turn their way on to Hall Bend, and for third, James Dennison on a battle, he's probably under pressure, and it looks like Joe Delgado is struggling to keep up with the 2-3 through the wooded section, and it's Jason Burgess with a bigger lead, I suggest, coming down the Barn corner now from Patrick Booth, who sits there in 2nd place. Then Dennison from Bromley and Ballard. Then a gap back to Joe Delgado. In 7th is Robin Walker. 8th is Jack Chapman. Aston Wigley, who's getting that flag, is there in 9th position. Then a gap back to James Cole was in 10th, but he's slowing out of Barn corner. He's being passed by Paul Savage.
So the leader's down Park Straight, and if anything, I think the pace of James Dennison is taking him back towards the Patrick Booth car, who is now dropping away from the leader. I suspect that Jason Burgess may have wanted to make sure his slicks had got warm, because he now seems to be piling on the pressure, and I suspect he might get the fastest lap this time round, Josh, because he's certainly distanced Patrick Booth now, and it's still Dennison at the moment in command in Class B as they head down the gooseneck for the 2nd time, and it's just looking, Dennison, as he might be gapping the 2 behind him.
Okay, we'll have a look.
So I would expect fastest laps this time from the leader, and almost certainly Dennison.
Yeah, he's pulled away, hasn't he? Jason Burgess there in the lead. They come into the mountain. Dennison not that far ahead of Josh Bromley. He's still under pressure from Tyler Ballard as they go over the top of the mountain for the 3rd time in this race. As Ballard realises the mountain isn't really the place to have so Burgess, you say, pulling away. He did a 1:43.1 on the previous lap. He's qualified in the top 2-1. Barn corner with this extended race lead, and his fastest lap is actually slower than the previous lap. But for Dennison, Dennison is catching the Class A car move ahead of him. He does a 1:41 exactly, slightly quicker than the class rivals that are chasing him. So a new lead gap of 2.2 seconds for Jason Burgess, and Aston Wigley has pitted. Jack Chapman is slow out of Barn corner and will also come into the pits.
So we're down to 10 runners now then, so...
and James Cole's got a misfire.
Yeah, I thought he must, because I'd expected him to make progress up through the field, given that he was able to finish, as we said, 3rd place twice at Brands Hatch. So not huge reliability in the trophy today. So here come the leaders.
Jack Chapman's car's now refired into live, and he drives straight out the pit lane and back into the race.
Oh, right. So here come the leaders, and they are getting a bit spaced out now, although Dennison is... he can't take anything for granted. He leads that class, but the other 2 and not that far behind him. So into the mountain goes Patrick Booth. Sorry, Jason Burgess with Patrick Booth just behind.
Yeah, this lap, Josh Bromley looks closer to James Dennison than the car behind him, Tyler Ballard.
Yes, it closed up just going into the mountain. The gap was quite big. Trying to get the tactic and then holding back.
They turn their way then into Paul Bend through the winning section, which is out of our view, but it's Jason Burgess that re-emerges as the leader with this extended gap to Patrick Booth. And James Dennison's getting closer to Booth, which is not really what he wants to do particularly, you'd think. So they come up across the line. Yeah, Dennison is lapping 7/10 of a second quicker than the Class A car ahead of him, and his gap is now 8/10 of a second over Josh Bromley. Tyler Ballard is half a second back, and then 1.3 seconds to Joe Delgado. 7th is Robin Walker, 8th Paul Savage, 9th James Cole.
Yeah, they're on to Park Straight for another lap. And now Josh Bromley has fallen back again this lap. So certainly on Park Straight, Josh Bromley is nowhere near challenging James Dennison. So whether Bromley is thinking about what he might have to do, I don't know. I mean, we have seen this in the past at Cadwell Park. If you're too close to somebody going into the mountain, then you have to brake hard and you lose all your momentum. It's actually better to hang back a bit, but it doesn't look at the moment if that's his tactic, because Dennison has certainly pulled out 8-10 car lengths on this lap, and or just a touch of the dust there by the third in class, Tyler Ballard, but don't think that's delayed him a great deal.
So here comes Jason Burgess into the left-hander at the mountain. This gap for second to third overall is getting closer. It was 1.4 seconds at the end of the lap, Booth to Dennison, but it's less than that now as they turn their way into Hall Bend. So yeah, you say Dennison's working the gap to Bromley, he gets a bit sideways. 12 minutes that remain on the clock, and out of Barn Corner comes our leader, Jason Burgess, but James Dennison now is really as close to Patrick Booth as the cars behind him are to him, so they come up across the line. On that lap, the quickest car in the race is actually Joe Delgado in 6th position. He's just done a 143.78, so he's starting to get closer to Tyler Ballard ahead of him, and even quicker than the overall race leader.
Yeah, I noticed that on the previous lap that Delgado was beginning to close in on them. So Joe Delgado is after a podium place in Class B. Now, a few more lengths to make up, but we could have a four-way battle for Class B very shortly. So over the top they go, round Park, crisp curve. The leader has a very comfortable gap at the moment. Jason Burgess comfortably clear of Patrick Booth, and Dennison comfortably clear of the pursuing Class B pack at the moment. So James Dennison obviously likes this Cadwell Park circuit, and you can see Joe Gargano is trying super hard, the car squirming under the brakes as he comes down the gooseneck, as he seeks that extra few tenths to catch up on Tyler Ballard.
Yeah, Ballard's now pressurising Josh Bromley again. Bromley hooks his tyres over the dirt on the inside of the mountain, and they turn their way then absolutely together. Ballard turns the car in tighter into the whole bend. But effectively one lane possible to overtake through there. We're into the second half of this race now, and this is Jason Burgess, who continues to lead as he comes out of Barn. Yeah, this time Dennison not as close to Patrick Booth, the Booth going quicker as they cross the line. Yeah, Patrick Booth going quick in the leader, and Robin Walker's pulled off on the run up towards Paul Baines. He's pulled off on the left hand side of the circuit. So lead gap now down to 2.8 seconds, Burgess to Booth. Then James Dennison then in third, Tyler Ballard, and 6th is Joe Delgado, and that group should be going past Paul now.
Yep. Yes, and Delgado closer this time, much closer to the three in front of him. So Joe Delgado obviously has got the car tuned in a while. But the other thing to watch for is this circuit is very hard on brakes and tyres on these cars. So as we come towards the end of the race, the drivers who've looked after their tyres best in particular, and also their brakes, they're going to achieve most. So Tyler Ballard's under pressure. He goes off 2 wheels off the circuit on the right-hand side, coming down the gooseneck again, and the dust flies. So Tyler Ballard can feel that pressure from behind him, from Joe Delgado, and Joe Delgado at the mountain is virtually there, isn't he?
Yeah, so Ballard dropped away, and Josh Bromley's closer to James Dennison again on this lap, I would suggest. Yeah, that gap was a whole second at the beginning of the lap, so they're working on a track at the moment, probably walking past, now close to the fate of Dave Piafini retired on the run-up towards Paul Bend. But Jason Burgess that lead with this gap that is coming down to Patrick Booth there in second place. The gap was 2.8 seconds first to second overall. The gap is now 1.8 seconds, so a full second quicker on that lap was Booth in second place, and then Dennison to Bromley. That gap's come down to 7/10 of a second because Josh Bromley's just done the fastest lap of Class B in this race, so 1 minute 43.22.
Yeah, here come the leaders. So Patrick Booth is set up. He thinks he can still win this race, I think. And the gap behind, and there's a challenge now. What's up there? Dennison must have made a mistake or something, because Bromley's right on him. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. As they head up towards Park, there's a challenge for the class lead. Now, has the class lead changed? I don't think it has, but it's certainly much closer to first and second. And where are we? Yes, it's still Dennison, but he's got Josh Bromley all over him as they come towards the mountain, Josh. And then those two have broken away from the two battling for third and fourth in the class.
That's right, so both the Class A and Class B leaders are closer than what they've been for a while. A good run through the mountain there for Josh Bromley. Does this give him a chance into Hall Bend? No, he decides better on that. Behind Class leader takes Dennison at 6 minutes off the race. So he might be more laps into this yet. And Jason Burgess and Patrick Booth then make their way out of Barn Corner. The gap was 1.8 seconds at the beginning of the lap. As they come across the line now, that lead gap becomes 1.1 seconds as Booth just does the fastest lap of the race, so 1 minute 42.6. And for the Class B leaders, that two together as they turn their way up towards Coppith, right on the tail of James Dennison, is Josh Bromley. So this race is really livening up, Paul.
It is, and I don't know what happened to Dennison. I didn't really see, because he had a really comfortable lead, and now he's under real pressure. In fact, all four are closing up together. You just wonder whether Dennison, I don't know what his lap time was last time round, but whether Dennison's shot his tyres and whether he's hanging on for dear life now.
Yeah, his lap time's getting slower, and actually the fastest Class B lap now is on to Delgado, who's there in fourth.
I think that's what's happened. So Dennison's having to drive in the middle of the road now, essentially, to try and keep the lead in that class. So there's the two leaders coming down the gooseneck again, and Booth is only 4 or 5 cars lengths behind now. So we are going to have a grandstand finish at the front of this race. Dennison's still hanging on. He's still driving that middle of the road, but that's meant the other two have closed up now. So we've got a definite four-way battle for Class B as the leaders are right together at the mountain.
Yeah, they turn into the corner with Jason Burgess still in front, and the Class B cars, you say, well, four are the closest they've really been all race. Dennison, Bromley, Ballard and Delgado turn their way then through the chicane there at the bottom of the mountain, but nobody's able to challenge as they turn their way out of that sequence of corners. But Jason Burgess then, with I think we're going to have 3 more laps in this race, turns his way out of Barn Corner with not really a reduced lead this time. He's managed to maintain it around a second, but then the Class B leaders come out of the corner with still James Dennison ahead by a couple of car lengths or so from Josh Bromley. Bromley not close enough to challenge into Coppith on this occasion. Another fastest lap though has just been done by the second place man in the race, Patrick Booth.
Yeah, and he does look closer, but getting close is going to be one thing, making a challenge is going to be another. Somebody else's, I think it's James Cole's car, doesn't sound right, but anyway, it's the first two in Class B again have pulled away slightly from Tyler Ballard, and there's going to be an attempt to take the lead here by Josh Bromley as they go away towards Park and into Chris Curve. There's the leaders coming out of Chris Curve towards the gooseneck. And what's the position in Class B? Not changed, it's still Dennison. So Bromley didn't manage to do anything. And we've got these two battles, haven't we? So the lead battle is nose to tail as they head towards the mountain. And all four cars, Tyler Ballard's going for second place at the bottom of the gooseneck. So I don't think he made that stick. No, he didn't. But you've got all four cars together, Josh, for Class B.
Yeah, here they come. The up two are closer as well. With the Class B leading to the mountain, James Dennison is able to hang on. But yeah, Tyler Ballard, where he tried to gain a place on John Bromley, that now left him as a bit of a target to Joe Delgado. Well, they stay in the same order. There are 2 laps of this race to go. They're about to complete lap 10. And Jason Burgess versus Patrick Booth come out of Barn Corner, the closest they've been all race long, but Burgess is ahead by, half a dozen car lengths, and here come Class B. All 4 of them have made their way through the Woodland section. Another fastest lap by Booth, which is quicker than anyone did in qualifying, by the way. So it's not that Jason Burgess is getting slower, it's that Patrick Booth's getting quicker, Paul.
Yeah, and they're absolutely together as they come onto Park Straight now. Is Booth's going to have a go? He can. He's slipstreaming down Park Straight. Can he have a go? He's looking to the left and the right, but the leaders, Burgess is sitting in the middle of the road as we've seen before. Then the Class B cars come round, no change of places. Dennison driving a super defensive race and still hanging on to that Class B lead. Josh Bromley's going to have a go as they go into Park as he did on the last lap, but something's happened to Booth. Booth must have made an attempt to take the lead, I think, and the gap's gone out again now. So instead of slipstreaming the leader, he's now 8 or 10 car lengths back. So I think that's probably that moment that has decided the race in favour of Jason Burgess.
Okay, let's see as they re-emerge under the bridge. Oh yeah, that's huge now, isn't it? Yeah, so Jason Burgess hanging on then as he turns his way into the mountain.
Dennison under huge pressure from Bromley now.
Yeah, he was looking to the outside through the King. That didn't really work out. And again, Dennison sort of pushed down through the face of the chasing Class B cars through the chicane. But yeah, the 4 were separated by very little, and Tyler Ballard right on the edge as he turned through